Howdy folks, this is Rampage Reviews Raw for September 12th, 2016. Whew. So the more I do these reviews, especially on Monday nights, which is the first day of the week, after the weekend, usually a little bit less sleep, 3 hours is a lot of wrestling. It's a long show, and I feel like the ties that would bind and hold everything together just don't last for 3 hours. We get all the individual pieces, but they don't quite seem to click as well. Let's go through the show, though. We start off with Mick Foley in the ring, because, yes, we are all about authority figures, and we're not about wrestlers. But he basically starts talking about SmackDown crowning their first ever women's champion last night. A little shout out to Becky Lynch. Bit weird, because I get it, they're real life friends, but not the kind of thing the general manager of the competing brand should be doing. But from there, calls out Charlotte, starts talking. They have a little promo there. Dana Brooke starts apologizing. Dana and Charlotte basically puts her in her place pretty heavy-handedly with, like, hey, it's your fault, you ruined things, knock it off. At which point Sasha Banks shows up, says, like, hey, Lady Champions, I want my match. Bayley's music hit. Bayley comes out, and I love this part, because Bayley's basically like, well, you know, I had a match last week, and sort of beat Charlotte, so maybe I should have a title match? And I love it, there's some back and forth, and at one point Dana Brooks suggests that, you know what, maybe these two should just fight it out to figure out who the next number one contender should be. Let's give them a best of 7 match, which I think is a subtle jab at the fact that this one's just dragging on forever. But at that point, Charlotte basically puts her in her place again. Charlotte hauls, but Dana Brooke hauls off and slaps Charlotte at this point, and Foley adds to the match, and we have a triple threat. So our first match of the evening is Dana Brooks versus Sasha Banks versus Bayley. I enjoyed it. Great back and forth match. Dana Brooks shows how much she has stepped her game up at this point, that she is holding her own in there with Bayley and Sasha Banks. I thought this was a great match. I love there's a whole plethora of false finishes. In the end, it comes down to Bayley hits the belly to belly, however it is said, on Dana Brooke, and then she goes for the pinfall, but Sasha Banks comes in and basically rolls up Bayley out of that pinfall for the pinfall, which I thought was super cool. It's a cheap win. Sasha Banks is the heel. As much as the crowd wants to cheer her, it's obvious her character is written as a heel, and the cheap win suits her. Doesn't hurt Bayley. Dana Brooke looks better than she did going in, so she takes a little bit of stuff from the loss. Who do we have after that? After that, we've got the Shining Stars backstage trying to sell a timeshare in Puerto Rico to R-Truth. Goldust basically comes and stops that. Little showdown with Enzo and Cass. At which point we get, hey, you know what, we're going to have a match, Enzo versus Primo later. What else do we have? After that, we have Bo Dallas versus Brandon Scott. Bo comes out again, believe in Bo. Cuts the super intense promo, including no one can believe in Bo except for himself, I think is the gist of it. He basically destroys the new guy with the roll of the dice move again. Gets the pinfall, 1, 2, 3. From there, we have the highlight reel. And we have Chris Jericho come out and basically gets down on the floor of the ring and basically, like, this is how low on the scale of things that Sami Zayn is. It basically invites him out. Lowest low. I love this. There's a great back and forth promo. Basically, just a war of words setting up for the fact that we are going to get Jericho versus Sami Zayn at Classic Champions. I really would have loved, at some point they're going to have to acknowledge El Generico. They're going to have to. Jericho even does the, hey, he actually sings the ole 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 at him at one point as a taunt. But I would love for him to be like, hey, you know what? El Generico's orphans have been abandoned. You abandoned the orphans, Sami Zayn. Just something subtle like that would have been amazing. From there, we have our Best of 7 series match number 5, Sheamus versus Cesaro. This is a weird match. As I've said before, I go back and forth on enjoying this. I dig the fact there's now a through line, which is Sheamus working over the back of Cesaro. But outside of that, I'm not drawn into the story. In the end, Cesaro gets the win, and he's got 1 foot on the ropes for leverage, but he didn't have high enough leverage that actually would have done any difference, so it's basically he had his foot draped on the ropes. Meh. We have a promo backstage with Seth Rollins, basically yelling at Foley about this whole thing. He basically threatens to ruin the match, and Foley says if he does that, there'll be consequences. More on that later. We have Alicia Fox taking on Nia Jax. This is because last week the unnamed person who fought Nia Jax was a friend of Alicia Fox. This week, Alicia Fox stands up for her friend and basically gets trounced by Nia Jax. But this is the match that Nia Jax needed. This was Nia Jax going as a named person, and Alicia Fox just put her on the map. She did the amazing spot of grabbing Alicia Fox by the hair and just swinging her back and forth into the barricade 4 or 5 times, and then spears her through the wall next to the timekeeper area. At that point, they just end the match. Because she's unable to answer, and they get security stuff out there. I dig it. From there, we have New Day comes out. They cut a promo apologizing for Gallows and Anderson trying to do their shtick, trying to do entertainment. That's their thing. Don't touch their thing. Yes, we have more dick jokes in the New Day. Also, have they stopped calling Gallows and Anderson the Club at this point? They still got the logo on their tights. Styles is rocking the same logo, but I don't think I heard anyone use the phrase the Club tonight. From there, we have Gallows and Anderson taking on Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston. And this is what we've been waiting for. This is Gallows and Anderson showing up and just laying a beat down on the New Day. Before this, I was convinced that New Day is going to hold the title, they'll break Demolition's record, then they'll pass him on to somebody else. At this rate, Gallows and Anderson might take him, because that was a pretty brutal match. What do we have after that? After that, we have Jinder Mahal comes out, and he is now the Man of Peace. Is what he's announced for. He talks about his trip through the Himalayas and going here and going there. It sounds like he's going to sell me a yoga DVD. But then Jack Swagger comes out as his opponent. The two of them square off. Super intensity from Jack Swagger. Super intensity from Jinder Mahal. And he gets the finish with some sort of a jumping cross-arm neck breaker. It looked like. I couldn't quite tell what the move was. I hadn't seen him use it before. Pretty cool. Good intensity for Jinder Mahal. I like they're doing something different with him now. Giving him some spark of personality, some spark of story. When they brought him in and just jobbed him out initially, that didn't sit very well with me. From there, we have Enzo Amore taking on Epico of the Shining Stars. Fun back and forth match. A lot of it being Enzo as face in peril. Even though it's not a tag team match, it's a lot of him trying to survive. He hits a few flashy spots in there. In the end, he goes to suplex Epico over the ropes back into the ring Primo hooks the feet as he does so. Epico lands on top. You get the pinfall for the 1, 2, 3. I dig it. Heels doing heel things. That's what wrestling's turning into at this point, and I dig it. I know a lot of people are upset. Oh no, Enzo and Cass lost again. So what? They lost, but you know what? They cheated to lose. From there, we get our main event. We have Roman Reigns taking on Kevin Owens. If Roman Reigns wins, he gets added to the match. Crazy back and forth match. I thought it was awesome. Probably about 10 minutes into it, Seth Rollins shows up. Seth Rollins attacks Roman Reigns, ending the match. Foley comes out, says, you know what, we're going to talk about this. You get out of here. And he's super pissed off at Rollins. But then he demands, you know what, restart the match. The match gets restarted. Kevin Owens continues to lay the beat down on Roman Reigns. Lots of back and forth. To the point where Owens almost has him. Not quite. Rusev shows up with the distraction. Owens gets the win. 1, 2, 3 in the ring. Huzzah. It's not going to be a triple threat. We get Seth Rollins versus Kevin Owens. Excuse me. And then we get the crazy beatdown of Rusev on Roman Reigns. To the point where the crowd is cheering for Rusev at this point. Rusev and Lana are back. They have lied. There's not 20 days left in their honeymoon. But that's that. That wraps up Raw for this week. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Any questions or suggestions, please leave them in the comments down below. Please like, please subscribe, please share using the little hashtag right there, Rampage Reviews, and we'll see you next time.